Hello, everyone. I'm so excited. Yay! Again, because Jamila is on the line again with me, and I'm so, so grateful that she's taking the time to help us, INFJs, deal with non-INFJs. And for non-INFJs to deal with INFJs, it's so important. I've gotten so many messages from people saying this was so useful. So I'm so grateful that we're doing it again. And as you already know, Jamila, you've already met her. You kind of know about her. She's an INTJ who's in a relationship with an INFJ, and they've been in a relationship for about 18 months now.
15, 16 months, yeah.
15 or 16 months now. And so we're just going to get right into it. And the first thing we're going to speak about are trust tests. And she's the one who coined this phrase, Jamila did. And I was like, wow, this is brilliant. Yes, exactly. So tell us about it.
So I guess I call them trust tests because I noticed along the way, and I'm not sure when he started doing this, but I noticed that there were frustrations, and then there were special frustrations is what I'll call them. And so I would notice, I'm like, what is he doing? It's like he's trying to see how I'm going to react to something. And so when I picked the very first one that I picked up on was the conversation about religion, because that's a tough conversation with anybody, excuse me. People have their own beliefs, people have a lot of emotion tied into their beliefs. And so of course that's the first place he aimed for. But, I'm a different kind of person because this is the thing I like to discuss. So I don't have, yes, I'm passionate about it and I have emotion tied to it, but I can put the emotion to the side for the sake of the discussion. And so I noticed that he was really trying to get me to respond to these different points in these arguments. And the first thing I noticed was that these arguments were very old arguments I'd heard most of my life about Christianity. So I'm like, this isn't really detailed. This doesn't sound like it's his argument. It didn't sound like it was his perspective. It just sounded like a perspective. Because I'm like, this is not doing anything, but okay, I'll answer the questions. And what's funny is that he did this several, repeat trials, because he couldn't understand why I could just talk about it. I didn't get mad. I didn't hang up the phone. I didn't cuss him out. And that had been his experience prior to that, with trying to have this discussion with other people. And so I'm like, well, I can see where you would make people angry. I can definitely see that. I was like, but, it doesn't bother me because I'm not trying to convert you. I'm not trying to prove anything to you. I'm just answering your questions. And so however you walk away from this conversation is totally your choice. I have my beliefs, so I'm good with that. And he's like, what kind of weirdo? So, what kind of weirdo doesn't try to make someone come to their side? I'm like this one.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I have noticed that all the tests kind of follow this pattern of the places where he had been hurt so many times or had gotten negative responses so many times that he just wanted to see, would I respond the same way? So, and this is just my perception, I took it as, okay, well, how we all do trust tests. But let's say like for non-INFJs, or really for everybody, really the trust test is you share something that's negative and vulnerable about your past and see if the person can accept that information. Like if you had a former addiction or if there was some abuse in your past, and you want to see if the person can accept that. But what I started to gather was, it's almost like, can I trust you with who I am? Can I trust you with Boo? Can I trust you with all of my layers? Can I trust you with all of my contradictions? And if I make you angry, how angry will you get? So that's what I started noticing with all of these different tests. And oh my goodness, it was just like, because and it's not that they were arguments. It was just these random discussions that just I'm like, what are you asking me? Because they were like very probing, like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about, and I'm like, I mean, what do you want from me? I'm not a high emotion person. What do you want from me? You know, so yeah.
Interesting. And I actually have another thing that we do as trust tests as well. Not only just, you know, oh, can I share my secrets with you and all that stuff, but I noticed that I feel like, at least this is my perception, that the door slam or like going into our cave is also kind of a trust test.
I was thinking that as well as like the continuous test, you know, because I mean, I mean, because those, like we talked about last time, those dropouts, they were very jarring and very frustrating at the beginning. And so, yeah, that's kind of a, let's see how long you last. I mean, it's not, not like that, but really kind of, okay, you like me, but here's the first quirk. You're going to have to deal with it. This is like the lifelong quirk. So, and it is true. A lot of women did not last with him. They had that initial experience with the great conversations, the great hanging out, the high energy, and him being able to match their mood and energy, and then just disappearing. And of course, they'd be very upset. They, like I said, is in the Black community, those kind of dropouts suggest that you're around other women, or you're doing these other things, or you're, you know, you're potentially cheating on me, even though we haven't. But we haven't been around each other long enough. But I mean, you know, so he got accused of a lot of things, you know, and then his response would be initially, well, no, that's not what's happening.
Right.
But then, you know, someone turns around and calls you a liar. It's over. It's over. And then there's no coming back. And I think that's the other thing that frustrated these ladies is, like, you know, in non-INFJ land, there's this whole back and forth, you know, I'm angry with you, I cut you off, but then I come back and we reunite, and there's this whole cycle. And with him, it was like, nope.
I'm not going to play that game.
One and done. which brings a bigger backlash. But, you know, so.
Poor guy.
So it's funny now, because like I said, it took me a while to just get used to the fact that these dropouts were happening. But I noticed over the last few months that internally I'm not really reacting anymore. And it's just like, okay, you know, whatever. And it's like, now he's initiating more contact. It's like, now he's, where are you coming from? It's like, I'm hearing from you in the morning. You're not a morning person. What's wrong with you? You know, so it's like, what was it? It was a book I read once by Florence Scovel Shinn, and it was like, ships come in on a calm sea. So it's like, you get what you want when you're not tied to a lot of fear and anxiety, you know, about it. So it's like, once I calm down, he just like, oh, okay, now I can talk to you. So it's so backwards. It's so weird. It's so weird. I mean, it works. It works, but it's weird. It's weird.
Oh my God, you're so funny. Another thing that you messaged me about, and we spoke about a little bit, was about the low communication equals low interest thing.
Yes.
And we spoke a little bit about that last time. And I was a little bit, you know, I was kind of saying, oh my God, but this sounds so stressful for you. And I was a little bit, I'm always concerned when people are dating INFJs because we are such troublemakers, like quiet troublemakers, but like we are difficult. So tell me a little bit about, you know, the conversation we had about, you know, about acceptance and his style and all that. Yeah.
So, one thing, and I think this is just good in general, because no one's walking around with an INFJ label on top of their head. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? We don't know who we're dealing with. So I think this is just something good to have, is that whatever personality you meet, you need to accept who you're talking to. You need to accept who you're getting to know. And I know the last time my concern was when I was talking about me having to make so many adjustments. I didn't want to leave the message of the non-INFJ has to do all this adjusting and the INFJ just gets to skip along, you know, being weird. And it's not that. It's that is that I'm trying to think of a good example. Okay, so let's say you're dating someone who, well, for me, let's say I'm dating someone who's not an American. Do I expect this person to respond to me with American culture style dating? Would that be fair of me? You know, I would have to accept the fact that this person is of a different origin, and I would have to adapt to him, just like he would have to kind of adapt to me. I think what it is that INFJs are quick to accept, which is a great thing.
Right.
And we're slow to accept. So because that's the first thing I noticed about Boo. Whoever I was on whatever day he spoke to me, he didn't question it. Not at all. Not at all. Whereas I'm on my side going through all these rounds of insecurity and anxiety, and he's not talking to me. What does this mean? And okay, is he going to come back? Like, I can't tell you how many rounds. Every time he dropped out, I was like, is he coming back? Is he coming back? And I would just take myself through these anxiety rounds, you know, like at least once or twice a week, you know, for a few months, until I was just like, well, he's been coming back. He's most likely going to keep coming back. So I had to get over that belief, because it's not really, it's not this, obviously it's not the truth, you know. So I had to get over that belief of low communication means he's not interested. And once I really started putting that behind me, then I was less anxious during those dropout times, you know, and just gradually becoming less anxious to like where I am now, where it's like, oh, you've been gone. I didn't even know. Oh, you're back. Okay. I didn't know you left. You know?
I love that. But you did say last time that you were very specific about making sure that you still have your life, which is so important as a non-INFJ to remember that you cannot,
yes,
like you said, you can't destroy your entire world to be with an INFJ, because they are not going to care about that.
Right.
Actually, they're not going to do that for you. So if you're expecting that in return, that's not going to happen.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that, like I said, that's another dating trend for non-INFJs. We just throw everything out the window when we meet this person that we really want to get to know. And I know we look overwhelming to INFJs because we want to text you all the time. We want to call you all the time. We want to hang out, like we just want to soak you up. And I'm sure INFJs are like, don't you have anything else to do? You know. And the first INFJ guy, it was really funny. He told me that he didn't want to be a person's everything. He did not want to be that, you know, because, you know, he had his own passions and interests, and like he was a huge workaholic. He was always at the hospital. And it's like you would need someone to kind of balance, like have your own life, because he doesn't have time to try to fill up the gaps in another person's life. Right. He doesn't have time for that. And Boo's the same way. He doesn't have that kind of time or that kind of energy. And so me, you know, of course, with my work and the other things that I do, I stay busy. I stay pretty busy. So I don't have time to ask him to make time, you know, for me, you know, so it works out great. It works out great. So yeah.
That's great. You know, I do like what you said, that, you know, he didn't have the interest in making someone else his entire life. It's not the time, not even the energy. Like maybe we could make time, maybe we could make energy, but it just seems like such a terrible thing to do, where you just make this one person your entire life and the other person makes you your entire life. And then what happens? You know, we are very much INFJ.
Everything goes out of balance. Everything.
Exactly. Right. And also we're, as you know, INFJs are big into realizing that death is an inevitable thing. And we're constantly talking about death for some reason. We're obsessed with the idea. And so we know, like, it's like, what if I die and your life was me, and then I'm gone, and then you're like done. And then that's
exactly
a terrible thing to do. Obviously it goes both ways, but we always think of it in terms of like, what if I die and a person's like left by themselves? Oh my God, that would be terrible, you know? I always think about this in terms of my parents. I'm like, they're so obsessed with their kids right now, but what if we die? Like, if we're not there anymore, what are they going to do? They're going to be devastated, right? It's the same kind of thing that goes in our head all the time. Yeah. I don't know if this is the conversation you've had with your boo, but maybe you have.
Say that again. I didn't hear the last thing you said.
Maybe you've had these conversations about death and the finality of things or inevitability of it. Have you had these kind of conversations with him?
With Boo? Well, yes and no. Not
Mm.
specifically in the manner that you're talking about, but you know, because he is a veteran and because he was in a war,
Yeah.
he obviously he's very much aware of how precious life is, and so he will kind of come from the angle of, you know, like you said, well, we're gonna die, so I'm gonna do my own thing and take this chance of you getting angry or leaving because, you know, at the end of the day, we're only going to live so long, you know, and I want to know that I've done as much as I can, because he is also very service oriented. So he definitely wants to make sure that he has, you know, touched as many people as he can before he goes. And so I know definitely to a non-INFJ that makes a person feel very secondary, which is probably why people really reject that, you know, that attitude, because it's like, so you're saying I'm not important. Because again, on our side, we put you right in the middle until we've really become unbalanced, and then we got to find our friends and we got to catch up on work and we got, you know, and kind of fix things. But, you know, from the jump, it's like, oh, I do not feel special at all.
Oh.
Yeah. But no, it's really okay, because I figured out, or something that just kind of came to me was that, okay, his communication style is nonverbal. It is. He's more action than words, because, and even he told me, I want to say he, you know, in the beginning, he kind of wrote me some really cute poetry, but never did it again for like a very, very long time. And then he did it again like a couple of months ago. And I was like, you know, this is really nice. Why don't you do it often? He's like, I don't want you to fall in love with the words. You know, it's like, look at what I'm doing, you know. And I even asked him directly, I said, would you call yourself your communication style action or words? He said, action. He said, I move in silence. I'm like, you're not a ninja. Come on. Come on. But it is true. I mean, it is true that he's very much action oriented, and he demonstrates himself through the little things that he does, and he's better with that than to try to come up with some words that I may or may like. No. So the gifts or the extra conversations, or, you know, the considerations and, you know, things like that is his way of saying that he cares, which is another adjustment, because on our side of the planet, we're used to someone saying, I care, like verbalizing it, and then maybe, definitely following up with action, but we want to hear it first. And so getting used to not hearing it and trying to focus on what is he doing, you know, that's an adjustment. But once you do, you do figure out pretty quickly where you stand by their actions.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I've done videos on this where we say like the love language for an INFJ is quality time, not words of affirmation. Absolutely not. Yeah, it's not even like close.
Oh yeah, I found that out pretty early. Yeah. He told me I was pretty once. And that's it.
Oh, that's a big deal, actually. I mean, the fact that he actually even said that once, I think, is like huge. For him.
And he said it in the group. I was like, okay. But he never said it again. He never said it again. And so but his actions demonstrate that he finds me attractive. His actions demonstrate that, but he's probably never going to say it again. So
but also, like, we don't care that much about the physical body in general anyway.
Right.
Like, it's not like there's so many beautiful faces out there, but you talk to them and it's like, he can't, right? So like, who really cares about it? I'm not saying all of them are like that, but like, it's like, it doesn't really matter. You know, you might be pretty, but it's like, you are brilliant in so many other ways that is more important than the fact that you're pretty, right? So I mean, you don't really.
That's what Boo said. I mean, we've had conversations along the way, or I think we've been in larger conversations about people who have their opinions about, you know, shaving, not shaving, and, you know, all these different body image opinions. And he's like, I don't care about any of that. You know, it's like, I care about who am I dealing with? How are they treating me? How am I treating them? So he's not really caught up in the little particulars of things.
Yes, exactly. And particularly also, how does the person treat other people, especially people in service positions? So like for me, a big one is always, how do you treat your waitress? Or, how do you treat the guy who opens the door for you, like a security person, or the person who's cleaning on the street? How do you treat people like that? And like, it's just such a huge thing for me, because unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who do not treat people well, especially if they're below them in some, weird way, in some hierarchical, nonsensical way.
Yeah.
So that's a huge one for me as well. But I'm guessing obviously for all INFJs or all people in general, maybe.
Yeah, and Boo is the same way. I mean, he has been in situations like he's from, the northern part of the United States. So, their winters are very brutal. And there have been times that he'd be riding along and he'd see someone with no coat on, and he'd get out of his vehicle, give them the coat, because he has the comfort of his vehicle in his home. So he doesn't have a problem literally giving the shirt off his back. So he's definitely, like you said, definitely tuned into we're all human beings. And he even told me in his childhood, whenever he got, toys for Christmas and whatever, he kind of knew what the other people in the neighborhood did or did not get. He would just downplay what he may have received if he felt like it would hurt someone else's feelings, so he'd be like, oh, I didn't get much, something like that, I mean, which, he probably didn't get a lot of things, but probably more than others, so he's very much, other person minded, very much about respecting other people and things like that. And I assume that he recognizes that I'm like that, because obviously I serve people. I'm a therapist and I do those kinds of things, and I haven't destroyed anyone. I'm pretty sure I have not. So I've not gotten sued anyway. So
yeah, I can imagine.
I think he's deduced that I care to respect people as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he'd be with you if he didn't see that in you as well. I do wonder though, like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever had these conversations, because I don't know, for me it was very rare, but I don't know how it is for you and Boo, but do you have conversations about the future, or like where things are going, or, how do you see yourself in 5 years or 2 years or even a year from now? Do you have that?
Okay, no, I'm going to fix my face. Okay. Here is the public service announcement for non-INFJs. Whatever an INFJ says that they can or cannot do, that is what it is. Now, I will tell you, with the first guy, he told me he just wanted friends. He told me that. But I didn't, because I didn't have this understanding. I'm listening with non-INFJ ears. And in the non-INFJ world, friends does not always mean friends. Friends means, I may want to wait a little while, or I want to get to know you better, or I don't want to make a commitment, but it rarely means friends. Actual friends. So when he said he wanted to be friends, I missed the whole, like real friends. Okay. Yeah. I caught on too late with that one. So Boo and I had a conversation, I want to say about 8 or 9 months in. And I was like, well, obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic. We can't really make any solid decisions, but like, what do you want to do? Like, how do you want to do this? And he said, very honestly, he said, I'm not ready. He said, I'm under a lot of stress, and my head's not where I want it to be. And I believed him. And he kept explaining himself. I'm like, no, perfectly fine. I said, I asked you and you gave me an answer. I said, now let me ask you this. Now, at the time we were having these active arguments. I was like, I still like arguing with you though. So can we still do that? Can we, like I'm not going anywhere. Like that doesn't deter me, because at the very least we've developed a really great friendship. And I don't want to throw all of that away because you may or may not be ready to date. because we are able to have these great arguments. Nobody's feelings get hurt. We can say anything that we want. I said, and I have not found that with anybody, because everybody's feelings get hurt. It's hard to talk to people sometimes, So I'm like, so can we kind of keep doing that? I'm happy to stay, keep arguing with you. We don't have to date to do that. I can argue with you right now. And so I think that me saying that obviously made him feel better. But then I noticed like a couple of weeks later, he started resolving things. You know what I mean? Like to take the stress out of his life, to resolve whatever other issues, he started making those moves. So it's like, oh, well, okay, well, I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, he's done a lot to, I know the word sounds weird. He's done a lot to reposition himself. I know that's not the best word. But
I get it.
To kind of get himself into a better frame of mind, a different frame of mind. So we have not discussed it again. I'm gonna let him bring it up, and just see where his head is. I think it's in a good place though. I asked him this what if question, and his answer was hilarious. I said, how would you feel if we were dating? How would you feel about me having male friends? His first response was, how close are we talking? I'm like, well, okay. So first of all, I don't have any male friends. Let's clarify. This is a what if question, because anytime a man asks you how close are we talking about, it's like, oh, no. So I said, well, I don't know, like someone you hang out with, okay, whatever. And he said, oh, I guess that'll be okay, So I said, what if he liked singing to me? Now, that is a big deal. Yes. Especially in, I don't know what it is in other cultures, but in Black culture, yes. If a man is singing to a woman, that is very intimate. That is a big no-no.
Oh, really?
So it is a big no-no. If a woman is dating someone else and some other guy is singing to her and it's not part of a concert and it's not, you know what I'm saying? It's, if a guy comes, and she's sitting there accepting it, it's like, no, that's not a good idea. So his response was, well, I guess that'll be okay, but it'd be kind of hard for him to sing with no teeth. I'm like, oh, okay. So got it.
I love that.
To me, it was the funniest answer to me, but he was actually kind of dead serious. So I'm like, okay, so yeah, I'll just be running around telling people, do not sing to me, because you never know if you're gonna, have dental work done. So, I think he's
yeah.
Yeah, if you don't have any dental insurance, don't let this guy do anything. But so I now, everything is a guessing game, and I could be totally wrong. I feel like he's maybe getting himself together to think about the possibility of maybe
yes.
having a relationship, but I really can't. I really can't say that. I'm just kind of living day by day. We talk to each other day by day. We joke around. He's very goofy. He's, like I say, he's showing more and more of his personality. So I'm just appreciating that day by day.
Yeah.
And, and we'll, like I said, kind of like FaceTime. I think if you recall, I told you that maybe I'd find out in about 6 months if we have a FaceTime. This guy is so dorky. Okay, so he called me on FaceTime, but he had the camera flipped the other way, so I could not see him, but he could see me. And then he had the phone on mute, because he was like, there were these other people in the room that he was kind of showing me. I'm like, I don't know these people. Like, why does it matter? And I was really confused. And so I asked my friend, I said, why would he call me on FaceTime? Show me these people that I don't know, I don't have any affiliation with. Mute the call so I can't talk. What was the point? And then he hung up the phone after like 2 minutes. I'm like, what was the point of that? And she was like, because he wanted to see your face. But but he didn't have anything to say.
Oh my
I'm
God,
like,
we're so terrible. Oh gosh.
I'm like, I could have sent him a picture. I mean, it would have.
We could
That
never
was
ask for that. Oh my God, there would be no possibility of us ever asking for that. No way in hell.
no. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I think both of us we just randomly send pictures. No, really. I mean, that's kind of how it started. I think I may have at the beginning asked him to send me some pictures because I didn't know quite what he looked like, and so in return, I sent pictures of him, pictures of myself. But then, like along the way, he will just send pictures or whatever. And I said, "You never smile. Like you're never smiling in your pictures. What's going on?" And he's like, "Nah, I don't really like smiling." I said, "Oh, okay." I didn't say anything else about it. One time, 2:00 in the morning, I get a picture of him and he's smiling. Like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, yes, great. You're smiling, but you sent it to me 2:00 in the morning. And I'm sure that was when he was very brave and just got it out.
Yes, exactly. He probably thought about it all day. He's like, oh my God, I need to send her a picture, but can I do it? Can I not do it? Oh my goodness. All right, I'm just going to do it. Kind of thing. Yeah.
I get a lot of 2 a.m. Statements. Like, you do know I'm asleep. like what do you want me to do? And I'm just like, okay. So in the morning when I get up, I'm like, I saw your message. I had like 1/4 of one eyeball open, but yes, I saw it. Goodness. But you have to laugh. And so we always end up laughing. Like it's never anything that I'm angry about. We're just always laughing because sometimes he has to go the long way around. That's all I know. Sometimes he has to go the long way.
I would say.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, because I'm like, if you wanted to just FaceTime, just call. Just
say it.
Just do it. Just come on, man.
This is me talking to myself all the time. I'm like, just do it, for God's sake. Stop being such an idiot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think my only question would be, though, because we've known each other now over a year, coming up on a year and a half, like at what point does anything normalize? So that it's not these going the long way down the street just to go next door kind of situations. Or does it just always stay like this? It's just going to be this. Maybe it'll get a little easier. It'll just become more normal to me.
Well, I hope not, that it doesn't become that normal to you. But I would say that, you're kind of in a special situation as well because you've actually never met face to face. And fortunately or unfortunately, it actually worked out for you really well because you were able to give him the space to really take it slow. But as soon as it does happen and you start hanging out face to face, because it will soon, because all of you are getting vaccinated over there. So that's awesome. Great. Good Americans.
Yeah, I'm totally vaccinated.
Oh,
and
awesome.
That's the other thing. I'm totally vaccinated. He's scared of needles. Can I say that out loud? He is so scared of needles. But he wants to come down here, but he can't come down here without the vaccination. So even though veterans, I know veterans were one of the first groups of people who were offered. And so I'm like, but but it's not mandatory. And so as long as it wasn't mandatory, no one touches him with a needle. And I'm like, now this is this big dude. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. Teddy bear.
So last week, exactly, big teddy bear. So last week he's like, I'm gonna go get vaccinated. I'm like, I'm sorry. What was that? He's like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get the first one. I'm gonna do it. I'm like, wow. I mean, I'm like, that's great. That's huge, because I'm like, you'll be fine. Just don't look, breathe, just
exactly.
Don't pass out. They cannot pick up a 6'5" dude off the ground. So come on, just don't embarrass yourself. It's really fast. It's just, don't think about it.
Yeah.
So he did. He got it done. So now in another 3 weeks, we got to do it again. So Because,
Wow.
you know, we have to, well,
Right.
we don't have,
Right.
where we are, we don't have the Johnson and Johnson option. So,
I see. I
so
see.
we have to do the 2-shot deals. Yeah.
Oh, amazing though, but that's so, as I was saying, so once you both get vaccinated, which is pretty soon, and you start
Mm-hmm.
meeting face to face, hopefully soon as
Mm-hmm.
well, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
going to completely change the paradigm of the relationship as well. So you're probably prepared for that as well, because as soon as you start
Yeah.
meeting face to face, there's going to be different trust tests. There's going to be different conversations you're going to have, and there's going to be different ways that he's going to poke at you to make you run away, basically. Like basically what he's going to try to do
Yes,
is
I
going to be
know.
like, okay, run away from me because I'm crazy and I'm an INFJ and I know you get it already, but maybe you don't get it completely. So I'm going to show
Yeah.
you even crazier sides. And then
Yeah.
he's going to poke at you. And then you're going to be like, well, I am an INTJ and I am Jamila and I can take it.
Yeah.
And so you're going to stick around.
I know. I've noticed that times when I've told him, you know, well, one, obviously I'm a therapist. I tend to see things a certain way, and I see people's intent. So that's another reason why I don't get, you know, emotionally riled up, because I see what you're trying to do. But I've noticed even when I've told him, it's fine. You're probably really not going to be able to do anything. I have very few trigger points, you know, but of course, words mean nothing. So it's like, yeah, he heard me. I'm not sure if he believed me. I'm sure he wants to run his own trials and just see. But what I actually do is, though, if there are times when something is actually annoying, I'm honest. You know, I don't pretend like I'm not annoyed. So, you know, I'll say out loud, I'm like, okay, yeah, that is a bit annoying. You may want to stop that. So,
no, but that's so important, Jamila, because like you're not supposed to be a doll that doesn't ever speak up and just smiles all the time. You're not supposed to be dead. You're a human being, like you're with feelings and emotions. And yeah, I mean, you're very like, you're all put together and you are very much like very steady. But yeah, I mean, you gotta show some emotion sometimes, because otherwise we're gonna be like, well, maybe she doesn't even care about me. You know, that's why she's not reacting, right? So of course you have to be like, you have to do what you need to do. But I really see that, you know, the fact that he's making all these adjustments, because it is adjustments for us. Really, it is like we're really literally adjusting our entire life paradigm to fit this person into it, because there is no space. If you look at it from our perspective, I look at my life, I'm like, where am I going to fit a person? I can barely fit a dog in. I can barely fit in, like me drinking enough water. I have to carry a bottle around with me, you know? So like to fit an entire human being into it, how am I going to do it, right? So at least that means he's trying to fit a person in. It's a huge deal, of course. I mean, it might not look like it from the outside in, but it's literally like, we're just literally changing everything up in our life to fit this beautiful person into it, you know?
Yeah. And I do remember, I think there was one time we kind of had a joke, and it was like, okay, what if we're both living under the same roof? He's like, you have to keep your job. You have to keep your job. Which, you know, I honestly, because I'm a career-oriented kind of person. I'm, you know, and we've even kind of discussed, you know, we don't have an issue with the supposed switch in gender roles, you know, like obviously he's retired. He's going to be at home more doing whatever stuff he does on a volunteer basis. I prefer to keep a job, you know, I prefer to keep working. And so he's like, you know, and he likes to cook. And I'm like, if you like cooking and cleaning, you can have all of it. Because I can't stand it. I mean, I like to cook as well, but not nearly as much as he does. So, you know, and I'm by myself, and so there's no one for me to cook for, so I don't feel that obligation. So I'm like, yeah, hey, if you don't have a problem, I don't have a problem. You know, whatever. But he's like, yeah, no, you can't stay home. That's what he said. You talk too much. I'm like, aha! I knew it. I knew it.
Oh.
And it's.
Oh my God.
And I mean, he didn't mean it like. But obviously having access to him all the time, in his mind, I would never leave him alone. Now. In my mind, yes, I will, because I still have other things to do. But
but he's afraid.
Yeah.
He's like thinking in terms of like normal people, well, people in general, like once they latch on, not latch on, but once they catch the INFJ, they're like,
very clingy,
I love this person.
very.
Yeah. And it's like, we're like, oh, but yeah, I like you, but not that much. Please stop messaging me all the time. Or stop calling me all the time. And then it's interesting to me because like people don't take that as, oh, I need to step back and give her space. They take it as, oh, I'm just going to leave her completely and I'm going to stop completely messaging him, you know? And I'm like, what? That's not what I said.
And the thing is, though, and I had to get over that. I had to get over the extreme thinking of either you're totally in or you're totally out versus, okay, there's a more balanced approach here, you know, and like I said last time, you have a whole personality that has been in place long before I came along, and why would I expect you to be someone different? You know, just like in my perspective, if you try to change me, that's not going to go well. that's not going to go well at all. And I've told him, I said, look, hey, you can do almost anything. Do not put me in a box. That is not a good move. And so I know if I feel that way, he's going to feel how he feels and you know, and want to be respected for his personality. So
absolutely. I really love what you said about, you know, if we were going to live under the same roof and, you know, how is that going to be? Because like for me, I always tell the men that I'm dating, I'm like, I will always have my own space. Like no matter if it's like a room that in the house, that's my space, no one comes in there, or if it's like my own apartment and then you have your own apartment and we can kind of meet up whenever we need to. Because the space thing is a huge one, and I'm sure you know already about this. But it's like it's so big for us to have the personal space with our energetic imprint on it, so that someone else can come in and kind of like start screwing around with it. That's really, really important for us. I'm sure that's the conversation that you have.
I told him from the jump, I said, first of all, I'm not living with you. No thanks. We are not coming under the same roof and you're only some boyfriend. No, thank you. But, and really for me, it's, yes, I like my space, but for me, it's just the stability of finances, stability of life, because I kind of have that same idea of, you know, I want to walk into a home that's either all mine or both of ours, like it's established. Not so to me, a boyfriend is still unstable. You know what I mean? Because they could not be a boyfriend tomorrow. So I'm not moving you in and like, you know, twirling my finances and twirling my schedule and whatever, and you're only a boyfriend. Like, no thanks. No, thank you. So
that makes sense.
So
because especially in the US and Canada, as soon as you start living together, the common law things come into place, and that completely changes everything. At least in Canada. I don't know how it's in the US. So so there's a lot of random things to be aware of.
Is it? I don't know if it's still a thing. I mean, I've heard of that if you live with someone for like 15, 20 years, you're considered married, but I want to say they repealed that. I don't know.
Or did they?
I'm certainly not going to be in the same space with someone that I'm not married to and forever boyfriend. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Yes. I get it.
Not at my age. No, thank you. No, thank you.
Do you, I know you have children, and, you know, obviously that might be a little bit of, for you, because you're a mother and you're always thinking about them, you know, bringing him into the family, if that was something that you were thinking about in the future. Would you be comfortable with that? Like, does he seem like the kind who would be a good father figure or like things like that?
Yes, definitely he is. And now my child, like I said, she's 23. She's on her own. She's very independent. He is, because he's such a big teddy bear, kids love him. And I'm like, how is this? But you know, he's definitely a daddy. Like, you know, when, like I said, he's raised a total of 5 children. 3 of them were adopted. And so he's this daddy figure. Like you know, there are kids in his apartment complex and he always has extra freeze pops and cookies. And I'm like, who is this guy? You could not tell by looking at him. That's the thing. Look at him and I'm like, I think you scare kids and you're like got candy and junk for them. You know, so yeah, he's a very sweet guy. He's a very sweet guy and you know, very much in tune with you know, people's levels of comfort and whatnot. And my daughter, even though she's independent, she's also kind of grown into more of an introverted kind of person, and so he would respect that half of my family's introverted. Yeah, yeah. I think my mom and my sister are the only extroverted ones. So myself, my father, my brother, were the introverted ones. So yeah, you'll fit right in. Yeah.
Amazing. I was actually going to say something before I forget. I noticed that I think one of the reasons why people get confused by INFJ males is, and like you said as well, because he's also a black guy, and like he's tall, he's huge, he's African American, like he has that like veteran look to him, I'm sure. And so, but like INFJ males have this, and a lot of them complain to me about this, that they have this perception because they do come across as effeminate sometimes, not because they are, not a lot of times they're not gay or anything, or not, like some of them are, but not all of them are, but they come across as, a little bit more feminine, a little bit more nurturing, empathic. They have all those skills to them just because they are who they are. They're INFJs. As INFJ females, we also come across as like warrior women and like strong and Amazonian and all that. Of course, we kind of meld both genders together kind of somehow. So how do you see that in him? I'm sure you do see that in him. And that is something that INFJ males complain about, because it always kind of is like, when they're dating, the woman's looking at them and they're expecting him to be this big, hulky guy. And he turns out to be very feminine, very nurturing and empathic and kind and generous. And they're like, oh, this is not what I signed up for. So did you have that kind of like, misperception or like that confusion?
No, well, he has, I didn't, I could tell immediately that he was, like I said, with the whole chopping block confusion, I could tell immediately that he was definitely a feeler. And of course, once he took the test and I'm like, oh yeah, I already know who you are. And I knew he was sensitive. I knew he was a feeler. And that was also part of some of his dating problems, was that, you have this big dude you're dating, and, and the women think they can go out there and, obviously, yes, he's protective, obviously, but he prefers to not have the confrontation. If you can have the conversation, if you can empathize, he prefers that route. And so he's been accused, well, you're not a real man. Like, if you're a real man, you would, so he's heard that a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember very specifically having a conversation with him. I said, I know it's hard, that, when you're a sensitive person, like, he's there, obviously with COVID, and there have been a lot of deaths. And so he personally has experienced at least 3 or 4 over the past year where he could not travel, or, because I'm in a red state, or was a red state, so things like you can't get there to be there. And you could tell he was very much hurt by the loss. And it's just like, but you can't really express it. And so, and that's really hard. I said, look, I know it's hard. I said, I see you for who you are as far as being emotionally sensitive, and I don't have a problem with that. And so that's why I don't dump all of my emotions on him. That's why I don't unnecessarily start arguments with him if I really don't have a problem, and or resolve things and balance it out as quickly as possible, because I know he feels everything, and he feels it a lot deeper than what he will ever admit, because he's a big guy. But he's such a guy, So, and I have to, when he does reveal that he's hurting over something, then he'll say it very simply, like, I lost another friend today, and that's all he'll say. And I'll already know times 1,000, because he's really hurt. I'm like, do you want to talk about it? What do you want to do? How do you want to handle this? Or I'll listen, like, tell me about this friend, just to give him that opportunity. But
that's nice.
He's I just try to create that space for him, because I know that space does not exist anywhere else. He can't be that way. Your family expects you to be a certain way. People in public expect you to be a certain way. Culturally, they expect you to be a certain way. So at least here, I'm like, big teddy bear, go ahead.
Oh, it's so sweet. I can't wait for you to meet together so you can actually like give him a big hug and let him like just be with you. That would be awesome.
He told me he does do these big bear hug things. I'm like, I need my spine intact. I still got to go to work, So
So he's
Please,
6'5", and
be
how tall are
careful.
you, Jamila?
I'm only 5'5". I'm a foot shorter than him. I am so much shorter. I'm like, please don't pick me up. I don't like to be picked up. I don't like you're gonna have to sit down and hug me. I don't know how you're gonna do this. But do not pick me up. Feet stay on the ground, okay?
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh my God, that's perfect. I was thinking, I'm like, maybe you're as tall as him, or like you're 6 feet something, but you're like you're five.
No, I
Like,
am
compared to him,
5'5",
you're
5'6".
tiny.
Yes. He will have to look all the way down. Yes.
You really like you have him freaking his neck and be like, ah. Adorable.
Now, I mean, at best, I have like wedge sandals that, it's getting warm here, or it's been warm. So I've got sandals and whatnot that'll maybe add a couple of inches, but no, you're going to have to look down, sir. Yeah. I'm over here.
Oh, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that. Oh my God. Thank you so much. I think that was all what I wanted to speak about today. But as I said, I mean, I'm sure we'll do a bunch of these later.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But thank you again so much. I mean, I literally, because sometimes these conversations are a little bit difficult because I am asking sometimes personal questions. So I apologize if I did, I was like, oh, can I ask this? But I was like, you know what, let me just ask. And if you're uncomfortable, you can obviously say no, because you're a very straightforward person. So I'm really grateful. I'm so grateful that you're just so open. And I have, as I said, received so many messages from people saying it was so useful. A lot of actually men who are trying to date female INFJs are still finding a lot of use out of this, obviously, because it's exactly the same thing, except just turned around a bit. And so I'm really grateful for your time and effort. I really, and your smiles and your giggles. I do appreciate them all.
You're very welcome. I'm sorry, and I do spend a lot of time laughing at him, so the stories are always funny. So I try. I think I told one of the ladies, I was like, I'll try to be more serious, but I can't promise. I can't promise.
You know what? At least you could write a book about all this one day. You're like, the days I used to date, or when I dated, my INFJ.
The adventures of, yes.
Yes. So again, thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. Again, if you have questions, put them into the message below or the comments below. And Jamila is really good. She's been replying back to all the people who've been on the channel. So if you have questions for her particularly, just put them down. I'm sure she'll get back to you. And again, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Bye, Jamila.
Bye.